I feel the need for quick game overs. No, wait, speed. Oh, forget it. Okay, I've done some cutting-edge research into the subject, by which I mean I've read some YouTube messages, and I have what may vaguely approximate as the definitive quickest game over ever, maybe, possibly, maybe, I'm not sure. But first, let's go over the selection criteria again, because some people seem to get confused. The idea was to find the quickest game over, counting from when you are given to control to when you lose control. And it has to be an absolute end of the game. Loads of people nominated games where you have more than one life, which obviously you'd have to lose all your lives to actually end the game, and that would take a while. So not very quick. Yeah. And I'm only counting commercial releases, no Flash games or any of those Mario ROM hacks which are deliberately made to be as difficult and infuriating as possible. Right, I shall now list some frequently suggested games that didn't make the grade. First, Another World, known as Out of This World in the US, starts you off sitting at a desk underwater. If you immediately swim down, you get nobbled by some horrid tentacles, and that's it. However, the death actually takes several seconds, and is therefore not nearly as quick as the games I looked at last time. This is Star Evil from infamous Crapfest Action 52 on the NES, or NES as I'm going to call it. Whilst it is possible to blow up very quickly, you have multiple lives in this game. You bunch of sillies. Here's the appalling Transformers on the NES. There's a video on YouTube which implies that you can get game over within a fraction of a second, but it's actually been sneakily edited or something, as the game gives you 3 lives when you play it. Iffy. Xbox Live Arcade platform Puzzler N Plus has various levels where you can die very quickly, but due to the episodic nature of the game, there's no real game overs as such, so we'll leave that one. One of the Paper Mario games apparently has a dialogue option at the start which allows you to, well, choose not to play the game, thus ending the proceedings before they even start. That's not really keeping in with the spirit of things, that, is it? Oh, and old 8-bit text adventures are banned, because if you just type a swear word into them, a lot of them get all cranky and end the game immediately. Anyway, here we go with the new timings. First up is Frontier Elite 2 on the Amiga 1200. This game was an astonishing technical achievement at the time, but wasn't actually much fun to play. Ooh, controversial. Anyway, you can choose to start off on the surface of Mars, and then deliberately ram your ship into the floor on takeoff. Like this. Now, there's some controversy with this. The fastest I could get was 2.12 seconds, mainly because there is such a delay between pressing the controls and something actually happening. If you look at the video responses from my first quickest game over video, you'll see that a chap called Delta NC managed a much quicker death using a joypad and the CD32 version, which seems to be much more responsive than the Amiga 1200 one. Since it was technically possible to connect a keyboard to the CD32 and a keyboard would give you much quicker access to the controls needed to blow yourself up, it's almost certainly possible to die much faster than 2.12 seconds. I reckon you could probably get it down to under a second with practice. But, can't help there. Oh well. Second up is Leisure Suit Larry in the Land of the Lounge Lizards, a highly alliterative and vaguely rude game which utilised Sierra's hateful old graphic adventure engine. One of the hallmarks of this genre was the instant game over for completely arbitrary reasons, as shown here if you have the temerity to walk into the road at the very start. .6 seconds. We've managed to beat the current champion Grange Hill. Can we do better? Of course we can. There's still a fair bit of video time remaining. Next is Karateka for the NES, a nice little game. You have to fight a procession of people who wear increasingly silly hats. Then you get killed by a gate. Anyway, turns out you can walk backwards off a cliff at the very start. A groovy 1.4 seconds. There's a video response which shows somebody timing this at about 1 second, but that timing seems to start a bit late to me. Besides, I must be right because I'm wearing a helmet. Finally, we return to the rubbish Action 52 on the NES. This was a multi-game thing similar to the European Cascade Cassette 50, except it cost something ridiculous like $200. This particular part of it we're looking at is called Hambo's Adventures, an almost unplayable platformer where you desperately attempt to get the titular pig-faced idiot to reach the top of the screen. But you can't, because it's virtually impossible to jump over the enemies. Now, the enemies in this game appear in random places, so I played it 5 times and recorded the quickest game over, which was this. Wow! 0.4 seconds! Of the 5 goes I had on Hambo's Adventures, 2 of them ended in less than a second. Pure class. Right, many thanks to FFL2 and 3 Rocks for bringing lovely Hambo to my attention. Presumably that's just his YouTube name and not what his mother calls him. So, is there a quicker game over than 0.4 seconds? I don't care because I'm bored of this now. Bye!